Hey guys, it's a Starry Fox here, back with another video. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a remake of an old ink drawing I did about 2 years ago. I did it during Inktober. It wasn't supposed to be for Inktober, but I did during the time of Inktober. I kind of initially started the drawing just kind of wanting to practice like drawing hands and stuff, because hands are probably one of the most difficult things you can draw. So I wanted to practice, and I wanted to kind of just, you know, not get the hang of it, but just let myself get used to drawing like forms and stuff. So I started by drawing the hand first, and then I was like, ooh, I could turn this into something really cool. So I ended up adding a fairy underneath the hand, like kind of, the hand is like kind of over, like reaching over the fairy, kind of like consuming her in a sense, like not really consuming her, but it's kind of what I titled it, like hand consuming a fairy, because it's supposed to be kind of like this ominous presence that the fairy has to deal with. So I kind of depicted that in the drawing. And initially the fairy's wings they kind of look like the fire that's underneath her. I actually end up changing that. A lot of her actually changes in this. I wanted it to be a remake, so I didn't want it to be exactly like the original. I wanted it to be different. So I did change a lot about the fairy. And I also, instead of doing just, black and white like the ink, I also added color. So right now I am working on the fairy's wings. And the fairy's wings, I wanted them to be kind of like just a normal looking fairy wing. Kind of like the wings that you see in like Tinkerbell and stuff like that. That's what I wanted them to look like. I had a hard time getting the shape of them the way I wanted to, because the top was easy for me to figure out. The bottom took me like maybe 2 tries to figure out what I wanted. To me, that's a hard time, but right now I'm trying to do the dress that she wears. I was looking up very like kind of fairy-like dresses. Her dress does not stay like this. It ends up changing a lot, because I was trying to figure out whether or not like because she has like these flowy like sleeves, I call them, and I was trying to figure out where those should go, and I didn't know where on the arm they went. So I ended up bringing in a reference photo. I do this a lot actually in my drawings. I bring in a reference photo to help me kind of get the shape of my figure right and stuff. I don't copy the image. I just use the body as a reference. So that's what I did. I just sketched in the body as a reference. I get rid of the legs. The only part that I use are the arms and the shoulders. That's the only part that I use. And later I'll bring in a reference for the hands, the way that they should be angled and shaped and stuff. But right now you can see me, I end up turning off, I think. It's not turning off, it's like, I don't know the specific name for it right now, it's not in my head, but I basically like make the layer underneath the actual like the drawing on Illustrator. I make that layer the picture. I make it not visible, so that way I can see the actual sketch, and I can put in the dress and the shape of the dress. So I spent a lot of time trying to figure out the shape of the dress and the way that I wanted it to look. And here I am putting in like little cuffs on the wrist. And then I was like, nah, I don't think works. It doesn't make sense to me. So I end up going and making sleeves, little short. I guess I could call them sleeves. And then I add in the flowing sleeve. I just copy paste and flip and put it on the other side. I don't keep the shape the same because I definitely wanted them to look different, but I did do that. So, and I wanted there to be another set of sleeves in the front. So it's not a set. I wanted one part of the flowing sleeve to go to the back and one part to go to the front. So you have one in the front and one in the back. So it looks like a mess right now because it's just a sketch, but eventually you'll see it once, all the color and everything gets down. So here I am just deleting the sketch, making sure that I'm not deleting the actual line art. The dress was a very interesting thing because I've never drawn the back of a dress before, so it was really interesting to see how I could put that in. I also wasn't liking the hair, so I went back and I fixed the hair. Her hair is supposed to be a braid. I don't fix her braid until the end. Here I am trying to give her very flowy hair, and I realized it's not gonna work because I want her shoulder to show. I wanted her shoulders to show so you can see her the flowy bit and where it's connected and stuff, and I was like, I don't like the way this looks, so I end up changing her hair and making it shorter and making it just go straight down instead of flowing. It would have been cool to have it flowing, but I wasn't having it. So I fiddle with her hair quite a while until I get to the result that I want. So here I am fixing her dress again, trying to make the wings actually fit on the back instead of them going into the dress. I wanted them to be in the back, so she's gonna have an open back dress. And I'm putting in the swords. I don't know why it's very choppy here. It was very clippy there. It was weird. But I'm giving her swords. Like I mentioned before, she's before she didn't have any swords or anything. I wanted to give her something that could I wanted her to be interactive with the rest of the piece, and I felt like if she was just standing there looking at the hand coming at her, it didn't feel like it was interactive. So I wanted her to kind of, like I said, I wanted her to interact with the hand and stuff. So I gave her a sword to act as she's fighting or she's about to fight the hand. The hand's kind of representative of maybe it is an evil being or something that she's trying to fight. So here I am. There I was trying to work on the braid, and I was like, no, I didn't really want to work on it. I think I just went to it and I was like, I'm not feeling this right now. And I should go to something else. And that sometimes happens. You're not feeling the area that you go to. You're you try it a billion times and you're it's just not turning out the way you want. So you end up moving on to a different section and then you come back to it and you're like, okay, this makes more sense now. So here I am just fixing her dress because I wanted the bottom of her dress to be like I didn't want it to be a completely different color, but I wanted it to be distinct from her bodice to her skirt. So I wanted the skirt to look distinctly different in terms of like the waistline. Yeah, the waistline. So here I am just fixing the shape of the dress and everything. And then I go back up to the top and I fix her wings. Her wings looked very weird to me whenever I was doing them, so I moved them over. And here I am creating like the folds in her dress. Like I said, I wanted her to feel like she has movement to her, so folds is a really good way of creating like a movement in a dress because it makes it feel more like fabric, more flowy, more realistic. So here I am just filling in her dress now. I added the color to like the line. So I added color to the line art instead of making it just a plain black line. I wanted there to be color. And I ended up actually doing a gradient on the line art on her dress, on the bottom part of her dress, because I wanted there to be a gradient there. And then I did a dark line art on her little flowing sleeves, I guess. I don't know what they're actually called, but I'm gonna call them sleeves. So here I go, filling in the dress, and at first the color of the dress is actually very dark, but I end up changing the color to match the top part of the dress. And I was like, this just doesn't seem right. It seems very off. So there it was. I fixed the thing. Sorry for the yawn. I fixed that and made it flow better. So the bottom part is like a dark purple, and then the top part is the light purple that matches the bodice of her dress. So I'm gonna fill in the sleeve. Okay, so actually I end up fixing where the sleeves went. I guess I was titling all my stuff there. Made it easier to know what was what by titling it. Filling in the rest of her dress. So here I am filling in the sleeves. Okay, so I chose the color purple because I felt like it would contrast really well with the fire. Because with fire, it's very like bright, it's very yellow and orangey and red. So when I was picking the color, I wanted something that would make her stand out against the fire, but also make her stand out against the hand. So I'm starting to do her skin tone now. So I fill in the color of her arms, and I get rid of all of the other layers so I can see her body better. And then I start filling in where her hands and her arms are. I wonder if I keep this color. I probably do. Now I'm looking at it, it seems like it's a little dark for the outline. Yeah, I don't think I changed the skin tone. Well, so here I am filling in her hair, and as you can see, I still haven't worked on her braid. I was putting it off until like the last minute to do her braid. I was going to look up a braid like drawing as a reference, but I never did. I just winged it, which will probably mean it does not look like an actual braid. But so here I initially fill in both sides, and I'm like, I don't like the way that looks. I want to have her have like an opening in her back, kind of like make it look like it's like strapped, like a corset would be. So I end up doing strips of the color, and then I go in with and I thought that looked way better. So here I am doing the actual like details in the wings, because fairy wings have like, at least the fairy wings that I know of, what I remember fairy wings looking like in like movies and stuff, they have like these little details in the wings of like little swirls and stuff. So I decided to add that to my fairies, or my fairy, not fairies, because I only have one fairy in this. And then I just copy paste, flip, and put on the other side. And then I fill in the wings with a lighter blue, and then I'm going to, here I was thinking like of a way to make it blend in with the skin, to make it look like it's actually like kind of like a part of the skin, but I was like, fairy wings are supposed to be magic. So I end up actually just getting rid of that part and just pulling the whole thing over, because I realized it didn't make much sense, and the one part that was like overlapping, it looked really weird. So I just got rid of it and then moved over my stuff to make it make more sense. And then I just add the effect, the blurring effect, the Gaussian blur, and then I change the opacity. Initially, I was going to clip mask them to make the Gaussian blur stay inside, but I was like, I don't think I thought it looked as good doing the clip mask, so I didn't keep the clip mask. I just changed the opacity and gave it a Gaussian blur, and then that was it. You can barely tell that it's fairy wings though whenever it's like that. So here I am working on the sword finally. And I wanted the sword to, you know, look like just an average sword. Like a blade of steel and stuff. So I just gave it a gradient, like a bluish hue, bluish gray gradient. The handle's the dark gray, and then the handle where she's holding it is not dark gray. It's like a brownish red color, and then the part that separates the handle from the blade, I don't know what that's called. I've drawn enough swords to know what this is called. But I don't know what it's called. Anyway, I made that dark gray, or I kept it dark gray, and then I'm going to fill it in with a dark gray color. So there's the gradient, and then I add a line to just, you know, make it more sword-like. I definitely think this drawing in terms of the detail is not as detailed as the other one in my other video. The other one had a lot more in it because it had the background with the planets, and the ship was incredibly detailed with the stairs. The stairs took me so long to do on that one. This one was much, like, it wasn't as time consuming, and it was just as fun as the other one. But yeah, so basically I just kind of did the exact same thing on this sword that I did on the other sword. Just filling everything in with the collars that they need to be. I was fixing the angle of the gradient on that because it was the dark purple was up too high on the dress. It didn't make any visual sense to me, so I changed it. So here I am working on the fire finally. Fire is so much fun to do. Just look at all that. You have all these curves, and it's fun, but it can be complicated if it's not done right. I think fire takes some time to learn how to do. So basically, I just kind of, for the bottom part, I copied and pasted the opposite side and put it on, and it makes it look, you know, like fire. It doesn't look, you know, like I just copy and pasted. So I'm gonna create a gradient on the actual outline as well as on the inside of the fire as well. Because fire, it's not supposed to be a single color, it's supposed to be multiple colors. So I don't know what happened to the, I could have sworn I know I had footage of that. So I guess here I'm just doing the back part of the fire. I guess the front part of the fire, the footage wasn't there. I think what might have happened is I opened it up. Yeah, I opened up the program and then I forgot to hit record on my OBS. So yeah, that happens sometimes. So here I am just using my watercolor brush. I would say the watercolor brush is probably one of my favorite brushes. It's so much fun to work with. So I just move up the solid gradient to fit there, and then do a clipping mask of all of that, and bam, we have a fire. And I thought that looked really cool. And the swords were actually like underneath the fire, and I didn't want that. I wanted them to be on top of the fire, like where you can actually see the swords. So I fixed the layers, made them make more sense. So here I am finally working on the hand. Took forever to get here, but finally there. So I guess I don't work on the hand yet. No, I work on the background first. So I do a black, like it goes from black to a red. And I felt that contrasted really well with her too, because I wanted there to be a distinct difference between her and the background, because she's the foreground and the hand coming towards her is the background, and then the far background is obviously what's behind the hand. So I wanted there to be a difference, like you can see a visual difference between them. So I was just trying to figure out what color to make the hand. Initially, I was gonna do a red hand, like the same color as the background, red, just a little darker. And when I zoomed out, which you'll see, or you might not see, I don't know if I cut it out or not. When I zoomed out of the image to look at the way that it looked overall, I was not happy with the way it looked. It just blended too much with the red in the background. So I end up actually going in with a dark gray. Or I don't go in with a dark gray. I just change the color to a dark gray because it's a solid piece. I don't know why. I thought I'd cut this out. I tried to cut out all the lolling parts, but I guess I didn't get every one of them. Some of them only last seconds. That one lasted quite a bit. So yeah, I'm just filling the hand in with the color. And like I said, it didn't exactly look the way I wanted it to look with the red, so I end up changing it. I zoom out and I'm like, oh no, I didn't like this, so I choose the dark gray, which I think looks way better. And then I do a Gaussian blur on I make the hand kind of go down at a, what's it called? I don't know what it's called. Anyway, I just copy right there. I copy pasted the hand, flipped, and then flipped again to create a shadow over top of the fairy. And there I was doing the braid. So yeah, there's the braid, and now I'm going to go in with some like little lines for hair strands and stuff. I honestly think braids are probably one of the more difficult things to do when you're winging it. I think the hair turned out nice though. Turned out nice. So here I am going in and adding shadows to the skin, creating depth. I don't think the shadows look right. Like with my last one, I kind of struggle with getting the angle of shadows correct. Like I knew where the light was coming from, but I just don't think that in terms of like creating shape and form to her body, it did it well. It did a good job. I don't think it did. So I tried my best. So initially I just do it like simple shadow like that, and then I end up like just basically covering all but a very small sliver of the skin with a shadow. Because I realized that it really didn't make much sense to me if the light was coming from like the front of her. She wouldn't have much light on the back of her. So which probably makes this part make no sense either, because literally like there's parts of her back that don't have any shadow at all when they should have a shadow. I just think I confuse like where shadow should go. Like I think that where her dress is, like all of that area that I left should have had a shadow there. Because there's no light hitting in there. But I mean, the wings cover it, so I guess. But that's no excuse. So I think I'm almost done with making the shadows. Yeah. So I go back and I give this a Gaussian blur, but it doesn't do anything, and I'm like, what's going on? Why isn't there a Gaussian blur? So I actually close my program, go back into the program, and then I start doing this instead of fixing that. So I start doing shadows, creating more of a form for the hand. The hand already looks like it has a lot of form, but once I add the shadows to it, it changes again and it looks like it has way more form than it had before. And this is just the first stage of adding the shadows to the hand. So these little curves in the hand are so much fun to do. I definitely suggest if you struggle with drawing figures or anything, practice. Because, practicing can help you get better at doing it. I'm not good at drawing figures. I've never been good at drawing figures, but through practice, you can learn. And you can get better too. So I end up turning off the background. I don't know how to say that. Like, just say turn off the background or make it not visible. So I can see what the original, like, shadows looked like whenever I was doing it with the ink. And then I use that as a reference to give me my other shadows and maybe create more form and depth to the hand. And I think it did definitely add a lot to the hand. Because before it looked very, like, bland. It didn't feel like it had a lot to it. So yeah, so when I put the background back on with the gray and everything, I saw that it looked much more like a hand than it did before. So here I am, I'm just adding these little swirly lines in the background that the original had. I felt like the background looked really empty and it needed something to make it more busy, because the front, like where she's at, has like a lot to it. And I was like, I need something in this background. So I was like, why don't I just add what I had in the original, the little swirly lines, to this one. So I took the color from the background. It does not look like the exact color from the background, because whenever you put it into a like the paintbrush and you put it with like whatever like brush that you use, the color actually changes slightly. So it's lighter than the actual one. It's like more of an orangey color rather than a red. But I ended up changing the opacity, and then now there's just like a faint texture in the background, which I felt was way better. And then I end up doing a Gaussian blur on the fire to give it like a glowing effect. And I think it did a really good job making it glow. And then so I'm going super fast, way faster than the other one, so it's hard for me to keep up with it. I did want to let you guys know that my videos will be going up on Sunday rather than Saturdays. I did mention in my last video that they'd either go up on Saturdays or Sundays. I've decided to upload on Sundays, so you'll see them on Sundays rather than on Saturdays. So I basically did the exact same thing I did with the red color, but with a gray. And then I'm going to change the opacity on it, turn it down, and I'm pretty sure this is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.